If you're already flipping through seed catalogs for 2026 and wondering which varieties are actually worth growing because space feels more valuable than ever and everything is getting more expensive, this video is going to give you so much clarity. Seed catalogs are fun, but they can also feel overwhelming when you're trying to choose varieties that won't fail on you, especially in a small garden where every square foot has to count. So today I'm sharing 28 proven high-value varieties that have earned their space in my garden year after year. These are the varieties that consistently produce well, save money, taste better than anything at the store, and hold up through real-life weather and real-life busy schedules. High-value varieties look a little different for every gardener. What thrives for one person might struggle for another, so use this list as a guide to help you build a smart, intentional 2026 garden plan that fits your climate, your space, and your family's needs. I've grown every variety on this list across 13 years, multiple garden sizes, including a massive downsize into a small space garden, and these are the ones that proved themselves over and over again. At the end of the video, I'll tell you how to get a free quick guide with all 28 varieties plus zone recommendations to help you choose what's right for your garden. Let's get started. Here's the truth most gardening videos skip. A variety has to do more than just grow. It has to earn its spot, especially in a small garden. For me, that means it checks these boxes. It has a high yield and a small footprint. It's reliable in real weather and not just perfect weather. It saves money on the grocery bill. It's low maintenance, family approved, it stores well, adapts easily to raised beds and grow bags, resists pests or disease, and it fits the rhythm of a real life garden and not a perfect one. Keep those in mind as we go through these 28 varieties because this isn't just a list, it's mostly about decision making. And when you use it, your garden instantly becomes simpler, more productive, and easier to manage. All right, let's jump into the varieties that earn their space. Let's start with garlic because I call it the gateway crop to clean eating, and if you want a guaranteed win for 2026, this is the crop. For the best results, plant 4 to 6 weeks before the first hard frost to allow the roots to establish before winter, so if it's too late in your location, definitely put it on your plan for next fall. Garlic gives you months of storage, huge value, and almost no maintenance once it's planted. After growing both softneck and hardneck in northern South Carolina near the mountains, I've learned that softneck varieties will almost always outperform if you have mild winters. And Chilium Red and Sicilian are my two must-grow varieties. They make good-sized, beautiful bulbs, and they store extremely well. If you're in a warmer climate like mine, definitely choose softneck. If you're in the north, hardnecks like Spanish Roja are incredible. Spanish Roja failed here the second time I tried it because it simply didn't get the cold it needed, but the 1 year it was successful for me, the flavor was absolutely amazing. And that's the lesson. The variety really has to match the climate. Next up are lettuces, because if you're tired of spending at least $5 on mushy clamshell lettuce that goes bad in 3 days, choosing the right variety will change everything. My two favorites that have earned a permanent spot in my garden, no matter what size it is, are Freckles and Salad Bowl Mix. Freckles is heat tolerant and it gives you a much longer harvest window, especially when the weather warms up. Salad Bowl Mix is basically non-stop lettuce in a small footprint. When you sow these varieties densely, the plants shade each other, which helps them stay cool. And they also hold more moisture that way and resist bolting. Both are cut and come again, and they're perfect for raised beds and grow bags and give you far more value than store-bought salad. Moving on to root crops. Danvers carrots are hands down my favorite variety because they're sweet, reliable, and less finicky about soil. They're a substantial variety that I have found to be so good in stews and soups in the fall and winter. Early Wonder tall top beets are another staple for me because they're dual purpose. You get greens and roots from the same plant, making them one of the highest value crops per square foot. They mature earlier than other varieties and they thrive in both late winter and summer plantings. And if you want a confidence boost or a quick win while you wait for the longer crops, cherry bell radishes are a mild tasting radish that's crisp, fast, and reliable. They grow well in almost any garden and they're the perfect beginner crop or filler for small spaces. Now let's talk about one of the most underrated high value crops, and that is bunching onions. Evergreen bunching onions are one of the few crops that grow nearly year-round in my garden. I planted mine last spring and they're still out here right now, even after a night in the 20s. They grow in tight clusters, which is awesome for small spaces, and they're cut and come again. You can cut the greens and they regrow, and then they'll self-seed if you let a few of them flower, and they thrive in raised beds and grow bags. They taste so much better than the wilted grocery store bunches, and they last for weeks in the fridge. If you want something easy and reliable in both heat and cold and extremely high value, this variety is it. For cucumbers, I will never not grow Tasty Green. After trying a dozen varieties, I always come back to this one because it's sweet, crisp, mild, early maturing, and extremely productive. This is a Japanese slicing cucumber that produces long, dark green, burpless fruits that taste incredible fresh, and they're so expensive in the stores. They're like $3 or $4 a piece. If you have any sort of trellis between two raised beds or between containers, this variety will pay you back over and over, even with just 1 or 2 plants. Broccoli is next, and Bell Star is my favorite variety for small gardens because it's reliable in both spring and fall. It handles heat better than most others, and it keeps producing side shoots after the main head is harvested. Even when weather could set me back, this cold and heat tolerant variety still pulls through, which is exactly what you want in a small space where every plant counts. Mine is behind at the moment since I had to replace them in September after worms ate them. Otherwise, they'd have beautiful heads by this time. They can survive down to around 20 degrees Fahrenheit, so if I want to overwinter them, I'm going to have to protect them when temps drop that low, which they do even here in Zone 8A. Tomatoes can make or break your summer if you like them, and choosing the wrong variety can ruin your whole season. The key is choosing varieties suited to your climate and your length of season. I've grown so many different varieties over the years for fun, and I always go back to reliability, especially after downsizing. Skyway is my #1 slicing tomato for hot, humid climates. It's a hybrid with heirloom level flavor, but far better disease resistance, which is exactly what you need in a long, hot season. For cherry or grape tomatoes, Montesino is my favorite. They taste amazing, they're productive, and they're far easier to pick and handle than my other favorite variety, which is Matt's Wild Cherry. They're just so tiny, so it takes a long time to pick them, and then they don't last very long. They get mushy kind of fast. So I think the flavor of Montesino matches up to the Matt's variety, and it's also suitable for both southern and northern zones because it's an indeterminate mid-season hybrid that produces continuously until frost. So as long as you plant it at the right time for your area, it's going to thrive in a wide range of climates. If you're in a cooler climate though, you might also want to consider something like Early Girl or another fast maturing disease resistant hybrid, but Skyway and Montesino are the two that I trust the most. I've gone back and forth between heirloom and hybrid throughout the years, and it's a matter of personal preference because you basically need to choose between the seed saving advantage you get with heirloom or the reliability of hybrid. At least in my climate, where heirlooms have proven to be difficult to grow, I have to make this decision. For corn, I grow Mirage and Who Gets Kissed because they're both well adapted to organic conditions and they perform in both northern and southern climates. Mirage in particular was developed in the upper Midwest, but it's also been acclimated to warmer regions. Both are super sweet, delicious, and trust me, far better than anything you can ever buy at the store. If you've tried growing corn and struggled, please don't give up because I promise variety matters more than you think, and it makes all the difference. And I know that you're going to find the right one for you. Peppers are another area where choosing the right varieties makes a huge difference. Early jalapeno is one of the best peppers for short seasons because it matures faster than most varieties, but it also thrives here in the South. California Wonder is my favorite classic bell pepper because the plants are productive, the fruits are large with thick walls so that they freeze well, and they do well in containers or raised beds. After growing dozens of pepper varieties, I've figured out that these two always earn their space because they're prolific, they freeze really well for easy preservation, and they're so versatile. Herbs also earn a permanent spot in my garden because they're one of the highest value crops you can grow in a small space. They're expensive at the store, whether they're fresh or dried, and many of them are perennials in the garden, so you plant once and then you can enjoy them for years. I grow a couple dozen herbs every season, but the ones I always come back to are basil, parsley, and cilantro, and I start all 3 indoors right alongside my tomatoes and peppers to give them a strong head start. Cilantro actually self-seeds for me right inside a grow bag, so it pops up on its own every spring. And if you want to keep vigorous herbs like mint or chives from taking over, just grow them in containers or grow bags to keep them contained from everything else. Chives are perennial in a lot of climates and they come back bigger every year. If you want quick wins or you're a beginner, buy your perennial herbs from local nurseries and not big box stores because they carry varieties that are adapted to your area. Herbs are truly one of the easiest ways to add flavor, save money, and get more confidence in the garden without needing much space at all. All right, now let's move into one of the highest value fruits you can grow in a small space, and that's strawberries. For strawberries, Sequoia is my favorite variety for southern climates. They were developed in California and they perform beautifully in heat and humidity, producing fruit for a long season. If you're in the north, you're going to want to choose a variety adapted to cooler climates, and I'll map that out in the free guide. You're not going to want to miss how to get the highest value from your strawberry plantings every year, so make sure to watch my video showing exactly how to do that. On to blueberries now, and the most important thing here is matching your variety to your chill hours. There are compact varieties for containers, but if you're planting in the ground, I would recommend choosing ones that are native or well adapted to your region, and then they're going to give you the highest possible yield. Rabbit eyes are native here in the south, but they get huge, like 10 feet tall and very wide, so I'm planning to plant them in every sunny spot in my yard where I can fit them in and where I can actually dig. I just moved in last year and I'm getting to know my space and where I can tuck in perennials wherever I can. Blueberries require cross-pollination to produce best, so plant different varieties in clusters if you can. I made a video that's all about getting the soil conditions right for planting and growing successful blueberry harvests, so you're not going to want to miss that one. Beans are a must grow for me every single year. Rattlesnake pole beans are my favorite because they're prolific, delicious, and they give you both fresh beans and dried for long-term storage. They're easy to grow and easy to save for planting every year, so they're high value and great for beginners. Melons can be tricky in raised beds, but divergent organic melons have been incredible in my garden. They're a cross between a cantaloupe and a Gallia melon. They mature quickly. They're adaptable to different climates and they taste amazing. For watermelons, Sugar Baby is my favorite small space variety, but they do have a lot of seeds though, so if that's not your thing, you might want to research varieties that may have less seeds. Potatoes are another high value crop, and Purple Majesty did really well for me in grow bags. For 2026, I'm planning to plant early maturing varieties like that in the spring and again in August to get 2 harvests like I did this year, which is easy to do here in Zone 8A. Just keep in mind that different potato varieties really do perform better in specific climates. They're a cool season crop, and your success depends heavily on choosing a variety suited to your growing zone and of course the length of your growing season. If you want the best yield and quality, check which varieties your local extension office recommends for your area because they test them in real conditions and then they can point you toward the ones that truly thrive where you live. And finally, squash. Honey Patch from Row 7 Seed Company is my favorite winter squash variety for small spaces. The fruits are smaller single serving sizes, but the flavor is concentrated, sweet, and nutty, and the shelf life is fantastic. For zucchini, Cha-Ching from High Mowing Seeds is my go-to because it's a bush type with excellent disease resistance and an open growing habit for easy harvest, and also extremely high productivity, so you need fewer plants, which is awesome for a smaller space. If you want a quick guide to keep on hand with all of these varieties, plus recommendations for both northern and southern zones, and my simple earns its space criteria to help you choose what fits your garden, you can download it using the link below in the description. It'll help you build your 2026 garden plan with confidence and save you the guesswork. If this video was helpful, please give it a like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments which varieties you're planning to grow next year. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.